Dwayne here, PhoenixTypewriter.com. Got an IBM Selectric on the bench here, and we're going to take a look at something here that is happening to this machine that's not that common, but common enough. Okay, so we got her on, she's up and running. Customer states every once in a while it doesn't return, or it doesn't return all the way. So a lot of times that's this latch over here sticking. I've dealt with many times right here, right there, but that latch is not sticking. So then we got to look at something else, and I think I know what's wrong with this. So let's get this back centered here and stuff out of the way. So what's happening here is, if you notice this collar right here on the Platen, right there, when it turns, when the Platen turns, the collar is turning with the Platen. This collar should spin freely. It's not. Usually it's this side collar that's the biggest culprit right here. But this side, if you lift it up, turn this thing off so it doesn't bite me, it spins freely. It's just spinning free. But if you look at this side, sure enough, you lift it up and this collar does not turn. It's literally frozen, and that's what those little groove marks are. So all this needs to be done here. Well, let me show you what the problem was. What happens here is, and it can usually maybe happen on envelopes because they're harder to push in, but if there's resistance on the Platen roller, it will, if the machine can't index here, drive this upward, there's stress on this shaft right here where the cams are. Didn't mean to press that, but, and so we need to look at this. First we need to fix this collar, of course, because it's causing resistance when you turn it. The envelope will cause a little more resistance sometimes. So here's what would happen. Let me turn it on. And so if there's any kind of resistance, I'm going to add a little more. I'm going to hold the knob here just slightly, just a little bit, just to cause a little more resistance. This is what happens. It just goes back like that. So to solve that, number one, this collar's got to be rebuilt over there, as we talked about. But what needs to be checked in here is this operational shaft support bearing. I think that's what this is called, right? Yeah, it's hard to get on camera. It is right in the middle of the screen. It is hard to get a camera angle on that thing. There it is. So the support bearing, turn this thing off, is right here. And if you look closely at this, let me get a better position of the camera here, maybe from there, you can see this collar is a little bit loose. So let me get this out of the way and zoom in a little. So I'm going to manipulate with my tool here, and you can see there's a little bit of play. The camera's in the way. Okay, so you can see there's a little bit of play. It's not showing up on camera. See a little wobble, and there's a gap between this bushing and this bushing support right here, and that needs to be no clearance right here. It doesn't need to be pushing real hard against that bushing, but it needs to be butted up against it. And so that's what we're going to do right here, right now. And I'm going to put a nut driver on this thing. It's a 1/4 inch nut driver. The camera is in the way. Okay, so loosen that nut with the nut driver. And then put the screwdriver behind this bushing right there and push it upward and then tighten it down and get it tight, because this is, they have a tendency to come loose and slip. Okay, so that should be tight now, no slack there at all, and that is going to help when this typewriter, I'm going to manually return this. When it manually returns, it moves this clutch pack against this piece here, which pushes everything. But if there's flex in this carrier shaft, it's not going to drive the index, or it's not going to push the return latch to latch up all the way. And now it's good. So now it actually shouldn't stick anymore. So even if I hold this a little bit, it goes back. So I just held it again over here like this, and it's still going back. So that's how that is adjusted. But really, of course, we need to rebuild this, not rebuild this, but just flush it out. See, more lacquer thinner, look at that, just spins freely now. We'll just put a little bit of air on it to dry it out. And then a drop of oil in here, and a drop of oil right there on the end. And that's going to be good for a long time, and that's going to solve our problem on this typewriter today. And it's funny because I just helped somebody on Facebook, or I told them what to look for, and their machine was returning when the roller was out like this. It would return fine, but as soon as you put the roller back in, it wouldn't return. This is going to work all the time, and that is a pretty common deal after 40 years. That bushing can get loose over here. That's not uncommon, and that will affect the index here, the index drive, and of course the carriage return won't latch up if that's not right. So that is how to remedy that, and it's just one of many adjustments on these Selectrics. So, that's it for today. Have a great day.